began my study, a voice inside my head said, you know, why don't you see how conscious people are of the subway art after all? I'd say, are you aware of the art in the subway? Well, half of them said, what art? Nothing, no idea at all. I got some pens here, red, green, and blue. Here we go. My study of the subway really began years ago when I was 8 years old. My father told me that down in the subway station in New York, there were pictures on the walls. I thought that was very curious. But what got me going deeper, besides the fact that I realized some stations were losing their decor, so they had to be recorded, and realizing this, I got concerned and thought, well, somebody has to preserve a record of what we have now. It became sort of a cause for me to record the embellishments of the stations. So it rather snowballed into a rather long project, which is now 40 years in the making and not done yet. Well, actually, the earliest stations were built 1900, 1904, and at that time was a great movement called the City Beautiful Movement, when the mayor and his council decided that they wanted to establish New York as noble and attractive a city as the old European capitals are, which the Americans and New York has always looked up to. And the mayor decided, well, you know what, we can do that right here in New York also. A good example of the very high design elements in the subway station we found at Borough Hall in Brooklyn, the first subway station and the first subway line into Brooklyn. It's just like one of the dozen designs that Lafarge created just for this station alone. But it's worth it. So what I do when I do my project, I have to do it at night, weekends. Often you'll find me at the library or on the subway drawing pictures of what's on the wall and taking notes on how many mosaics are there, what color are they, the general description of any station. I've been self-publishing my work ever since I began. This year, though, a lot has changed. A university has published a book of my drawings. My drawings and my notebooks, the real thing, the originals, have been on display in Grand Central Terminal. Since I started this study, being, I hope, somewhat of a thorough person, I intend to finish it, which means I really have to visit all the stations in the system. I have quite a long road ahead of me. I've done 110 stations so far, and I have many more to go, obviously 360 more or more, God knows. Because I've started, I feel I have to finish it.
The Travel Show, your essential guide wherever you're heading. Every weekend on BBC News.